Okay, so today we'll start with module 3, that is business plan and feasibility analysis. So, before an entrepreneur starts his business, first he will start with a business plan, which is nothing but a document. It's a written document which is showing various steps. What are the steps he is going to take in setting up his business? So, the business plan should be prepared very carefully. It should be done well prepared so that he can avoid any kind of failures which can happen in his project, and he can also avoid any cost overruns. Cost overruns means cost going up, the expenses going higher, it increasing. So he can avoid these two things, failure and cost overruns, by paying attention and preparing the business plan carefully. So the process of business plan, these are the steps. So it's like a blueprint. It will show the steps in a stepwise way. It will show how the business is going to develop. So first step is self-audit. Then second one is evaluating the business environment, that is scanning the business environment. Then setting the objectives and goals of the business. Then doing forecasting of the market conditions, then deciding what actions to be taken to set up the business and what are the resources, that is also decided in this step. Then they do evaluation of the plan, of the proposed plan. Then they will always have alternative plans, that is plan B. Where do people go? Huh? Break means it will go like that. Huh? Hmm. Alternative plans, and then last step is preparing the annual budget. They will control the project through the annual budget. So self audit means first the management will do self audit of their own organization. They will see which are the functions which is critical for the success of the organization. So usually sales, marketing, production, finance, these are all critical areas of a business, because these areas will give the revenue. They give the sales, they give the revenue, they give the profits. Second step is they scan the internal and external environment. So within the organization and outside the organization, they will scan the environment to see what are the business conditions. So what demographic changes have happened in the customers, what is the economic state of the country, what is the physical policies of the government, any changes that has happened in the fiscal policies, what is the labor availability, what is the competition level in the market, what kind of suppliers are available. All this they will evaluate in the external and internal environment. Then they set the objectives and goals. So usually based on that vision and mission statement, they will set the goals and objectives. So usually they will have a profit goal, they will have a goal for the HR, that is how many people have to be hired, with what skills, with what knowledge, with what capabilities we should hire the HR, how the customer service should be. Should it be a general customer service, or should it be a customized customer service? And nowadays, companies are very particular about social responsibility. That means they want to show the public that they care for society. So they will show in their objectives and goals that they are doing so many things for society, like this why not floods and all. Many companies will offer to build houses. Many companies will offer to give food to the people free of cost. So these are their social responsibility actions to show that they care for society. So for that also they will have some goals, and they will mention it in their vision and mission statement. Then next is forecasting the market conditions. So they'll be using different forecasting models. They will collect the data Then they will analyze the data, and based on their experience and knowledge, they will decide, they will forecast what will be the forecast, the demand for products and services. They will decide. Then based on their sales forecasting, they will decide how much production volume should be there. So based on their production forecasting, then they will decide what are the raw materials, how much amount of raw materials we should get, how much labor we should get, how much capital we should put in. So like that, they will forecast for each: sales forecasting, production forecasting, resources forecasting, raw material forecasting. All this they do with the help of forecasting models. Then the next step is they decide what are the actions to be taken to achieve these goals and objectives which they have decided. So organizational objectives they will decide department wise, and also for the overall organization they will have strategies. So considering the external market conditions, they will decide different strategies. So what are the different strategies? First one is corporate strategies. Corporate strategies is long-term strategy. This is overall strategy of the company, how the company is going to conduct its activities, how it's going to use its financial resources, its human resources, its material resources, its capital resources. All that they will mention in their corporate strategy. Next one is their growth strategy. Growth strategy is very important because then only the company can show that it is developing in the market. So they will have strategies for sales, like our goals for how much sales they should achieve, how many number of employees should be hired, what are the products they should produce, what should be the capacity of the company. So all these growth strategies they will determine in the beginning only. So nowadays the market conditions is very dynamic. That means everything is changing very fast, and product life cycles are also very short. Products come and go. They are there only for a few months in the market, then they will go and the next model will come. So because of these market conditions, companies have to develop growth strategies for their products, for their customers, for their suppliers. So they have to decide various strategies like vertical integration they have to do. You know what vertical integration? What is vertical integration strategy? You remember we studied in growth strategies, vertical forward integration, vertical backward integration. We had studied that time. Vertical forward integration means the company will do its own distribution of products, like how Reliance will sell through their own stores. Reliance Smart is there, Reliance Trend is there, Reliance Digital is there. So that is vertical forward integration. They do their own distribution of products through their own stores. Vertical backward integration means the company will supply its own raw materials. They only will be the suppliers of raw materials. So again, Reliance produces its own oil and gas for their petrochemical industry. So they only supply. That is vertical backward integration. Take down. Vertical forward integration means vertical forward integration strategy. Vertical forward integration strategy means the company does its own distribution of products. Its own distribution of products. So that means they don't hire distributors. They only do their own distribution. Then vertical backward integration strategy. Company will do its own supply of raw materials. Will do its own supply of raw materials. For both, you can give the example of Reliance. So stability strategy is a strategy where the company wants to maintain its present position. So when the external market is not changing much, then the company will follow the stability strategy. Defensive strategy is when the company is facing adverse conditions in the market, then it will try to reduce its activities, like it will bring down its cost, it will try to reduce, make a loss making unit to turn around, become profitable again, or they will go for liquidation. What is liquidation? What is liquidation? Yeah, selling of the assets. Selling of the assets of the company. That is liquidation. So these are all defensive strategies. When the market conditions are not good, then the company may go for liquidation, or it may go for turnaround of a loss making unit. Turnaround means they will make the loss making unit profitable again, or they will try to reduce cost. So these are defensive strategies. Business strategies is when the company will follow this strategy to become competitive again. They want to achieve, they will focus on sales and production so that they get more profits. That is business strategies. Functional strategies, where they have strategies for day-to-day function of each unit, like HR department, finance department, production department, marketing department. They will have, for each of these departments, they will have a strategy. They will try to make it better. They will try to make each of these departments better functioning. Then evaluating, the last step is evaluating the proposed strategy. So all these strategies which they have decided, the company will use a complex, what is that? Company will use complex mathematical models to see whether this plan will work or not, whether this plan is feasible or not. And always the company will have alternative strategies. That means they will have plan B, plan C. They will not always focus on plan A. So they will always have the alternative plan, plan B or C, like that. So they will go through their alternative plans also. They will see the budgets, they will see the profitability, they will see the cash flow, they will see the whether the alternative plans are also good enough. They will use stimulation models to find out whether these alternative strategies are also good for the company if they have to go for plan B or plan C. And last step is controlling the entire business plan by having an annual budget. So they will prepare an annual budget where they will mention what will be the capital, or how much resources. They will see whether the performance of the company is against the standards. So this budget will help them to achieve standardized production, which is effective and efficient. So this is how the business plan is done, the steps of business planning process. Now implementing the business plan, that is also an important step for an entrepreneur, because when he is implementing the business plan, he can keep track of his resources, like how the employees are being utilized, how the capital is being utilized, how the technology is being utilized. He can keep track and he can see whether the business plan is being successfully implemented or something is going wrong somewhere and where he needs to correct it. So the following things are considered when he is implementing the business plan. Financial aspect is considered, management aspect is considered, and development aspect is considered. So these three things are considered when he is implementing the business plan. Financial aspect means the budget. So what is the plan following the annual budget? Is the plan following the projections? Cost projections means whatever they had predicted, the cost will be. Is it going according to that, or is the cost going more than the budget? So they will use various accounting software to keep track of their actual expenses and planned whether it's going according to the planned expenses, to keep track of the expenses of the company. Management aspect is where the entrepreneur will implement some procedures, management procedures and processes to make sure that the company runs smoothly. So he will do task delegation, he will set up a management team, he will have time schedule for each activity, and he will be tracking how the work is progressing, whether it is going as per schedule or whether anything is not going as per schedule, then he will try to correct it. Development aspect is important for a company to be successful. So he has to make sure that the company should develop and grow. It should not be in the same status position. It should be always growing and developing. So for that, he should understand the market conditions. He should be always monitoring the market conditions. He should be always monitoring the performance of his business, and he should be always monitoring the strategies which he has planned, the development strategies, whether all the strategies are being successfully implemented or whether anything is not being implemented properly or not. So these are the three aspects which are considered when he is implementing the business plan. Now, value of a business plan. Why business plan is required? Business plan is very valuable for an entrepreneur because of these reasons. It reduces his emotional bias. It justifies his idea, what idea he had about developing a business. It helps him to develop a consistent strategy. It helps him to do feasibility study of his business. It helps to show his commitment, how committed he is to set up his business. It shows his action plan, what all actions he is planning to do, and it's also used as a selling tool by the entrepreneur to raise funds. So these are the reasons why business plan is important. So first reason is business an entrepreneur, when he has a business plan, he will know the pros and cons of his business, whether the what is the plus point and minus point of his business. So he can decide which parts of the business he has to retain and which part of the business he has to dispose of. Second reason is whatever plan he had, he can translate it into this blueprint, that is the business plan. So with that business plan, he can convince the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? The employees, the investors, the customers, all these are the stakeholders. So he can convince them so that they will support him in his business. And the third reason is he can develop a consistent image about his company. Through his business plan, he can show that what will be the image of his business. With that also, he can convince his stakeholders. And he can also show his commitment, how committed he is, how dedicated he is in setting up his own business. His partner's dedication, his partner's commitment also can be shown through this business plan. And feasibility, of course, he can do feasibility study, whether that business can be marketed successfully, whether it can be technically very sound, whether it can give him the sales and profits. All these he can find out, whether the financial resources will be utilized properly, and also through his business plan he can show clearly what are the action steps he is going to take to set up his business plan, and he can attract potential investors with the help of a business plan. He can use it as a selling tool. So he can show the cash flow, he can show the actions, he can show the steps, he can show the strategy, he can show the resources. So all this will help him to attract right kind of investors, right kind of suppliers, and also the right kind of talent to his company. So he can attract talented employees, he can attract dependable suppliers, and he can also attract potential investors with the help of this business plan. So business plan helps him to raise funds, which is very important. In the beginning, I told you a startup requires lot of funds. So he can raise the funds with the help of this business plan, and he can start his business.